It's 7 o'clock. I'm Lee Blakeman. A father from Stoke-on-Trent who broke up with his partner a year ago can't leave their home as he says the city council won't give him suitable accommodation for him and his children. Phil James can't afford to get a place of his own and applied for a council property big enough for them to share, but hasn't been successful. He's a registered carer for one of his children, but as he doesn't have formal custody, he says he's only eligible for properties that don't suit his needs.
The reason he was saying I know I was in need and I'm classed as a single man is because I don't have legal custody of any of my children, despite being my eldest son's registered carer on the birth certificate, biological father. So to qualify, I was advised to take custody of one of my children, which is what I've had to do.
Stoke-on-Trent City Council says it can't comment on individual cases, but it's met with Phil and his case has been prioritised. And we'll have more on this on Liz Ellis and John Akers at breakfast in the next 10 minutes.
Now first, this morning, you're going to hear the story of Phil. More than a year ago, he broke up with his partner of 17 years. But is still forced to live under the same roof as her at their house in Stoke-on-Trent. He's been desperately trying to move out and get a new council house big enough for him and his two children so they can live with him half of the time. He told me he's struggling even though he's a carer for one of them who's disabled, and he's now locked in a battle with Stoke-on-Trent City Council to find a new property.
Because of our financial situation, my eldest son's disabled, I'm his registered carer, so I can't exactly work at the moment. I can't afford to go private renting because of the upfront fees. So I went to the council and according to their records, I called them in July last year to apply to go on the council list. This is where I sort of started worrying about getting onto the council list at all, because their reaction was, so you're a single dad with no children and you're on a tenancy agreement. So I reiterated again, I've got two children. And they said, yeah, but the kids won't be staying with you. They'll be staying with mum. Just assumed that that's how it works. So I explained that we've got an agreement to have 50-50 custody of the kids, so I do need somewhere suitable, like a two-bedroom basically, so I can have both of my kids stay in there as often as possible.
So then the council are looking for, right, which box do we tick when we're looking for a property for you?
Yeah, at this point, in their eyes, said I'd got no housing need whatsoever. And if they were to help me, I'd get a one-bedroom flat, but there's no availability for one-bedroom flat, so it was pointless me even going on the list in the first place. So I never got onto if you can't get on the council list for whatever reason, you can find yourself a private rented property if you can't afford to pay the council or bond you, and you get 12 months support as a tenant and as a landlord. So I applied to go on there and I got exactly the same things, no housing need whatsoever. The reason he was saying I have no housing need and I'm classed as a single man is because I don't have legal custody of any of my children, despite being my eldest son's registered carer on the birth certificate, biological father. So to qualify, I was advised to take custody of one of my children, which is what I've had to do.
So what do you do, Phil? Are you stuck?
Well, yeah. In fact, I'll give you an example. I phoned a private flat up, two-bedroom flat in Burslem yesterday. They will accept me with housing benefit. Obviously, I'm my son's carer, so I need housing benefit. And when I asked for the upfront fees, it was £1,350. And if you've not got £1,350 and you can't get on the bond scheme or the council list, what do? You
are stuck.
Yeah. When I spoke to the council on the phone and said, would it be different if I was a woman? The reply I got back was probably yes. I'd have possibly been whisked off my feet, was the exact words actually. So I could be in the exact same situation as a woman, but she would be a higher priority and have higher housing need and therefore be dealt with before me.
I can't imagine how frustrating it must be trying to find a place that's suitable when you've got a disabled son to look after, but also you're living with your ex. You're trying to move on with your life.
Yeah, well, it's stressful for me. It's also stressful for my ex, regardless of the circumstances, and it has a knock-on effect on the kids too. Through lack of sleep and stress, I had a massive seizure and I've never been ill.
What happened? What happened to you then?
Well, I was rushing. As I remember, I was sat at my computer, really tired, and I know I was tired and stressed. And then, like I say, I regained consciousness on the floor. I'd had some kind of fit. I'd bit through my tongue, I'd pulled every muscle in my body pretty much. And when I come round, I couldn't remember my name, what year it was. So I was taken by an ambulance to the hospital, and they couldn't find anything and put it down to anything other than tiredness and stress. And outside of this situation, I haven't really got anything stressing me out or tiring me out. But because I'd gone back to sort of battling the council again, like I say, the frustration, the anxiety, the lack of sleep, because you're running over in your mind and what can I do next, how can I move forward, like you say, move on with my life. So it's had a dramatic effect on my health, and I'm still suffering weeks later now with different symptoms and things.
What have the council said to you in terms of getting this problem sorted out, finding you a suitable house? Have they given you any options, any charities, anybody else who can help you?
No, nothing at all, no. You have to push to get referred to the bond scheme. There must be hundreds and hundreds of people applying for the bond scheme, because the council waiting list is only 2,400 people, I think, on it. And that's partly because they're keeping people off the council list. Referring them to the bond scheme is a second option, but then you're put in a situation where the bond scheme can't possibly cope.
How long do you think it will be, Phil, before you get the property that you need to be able to live independently but also have your children stay?
Well, as a result of my conversation on Twitter, which is when I was contacted by Dominic from Radio Stoke, and that did change things a bit. I did actually yesterday get to meet, for the first time, which is what I've been trying to do for a year, a housing worker from the council. And there's been so many phone calls to get to that. And
you're feeling as though it's almost as though it's only just happened because we've got involved.
Yeah, honestly, genuinely do, yeah.
What would it feel like to have your own place with your children, with rooms for your children to stay in as well?
It's actually emotional, that is. That's the target. I'm not asking for a palace. I'm asking for somewhere suitable for me to live and have my boys as often as possible.
I really felt for Phil James there. I sort of felt his frustration because he just wants to move on with his life. But as he sort of said to me, he can appreciate that the council's hands might be tied because they've got certain criteria, or they've got, certain things that have to be put in place first. We've spoken to Stoke-on-Trent City Council, who says it can't comment on individual cases, but that they've met with Phil and his case has been prioritised. The council says it will prioritise cases and work quickly to support local residents who have a clear housing need. If you feel like Phil obviously did, that, if you feel like you're not getting anywhere with the problem you're trying to deal with, or if there's something that's going on in your life that you feel is a bit unfair that maybe we can help you with or look into for you, do get in touch. That's what we're here for.